You bring up the topic of variety, and it's such a common trope in nutrition. You know, you need variety. Where's the variety? Yeah. But functionally, what I've found, and again, you know, I've been doing this for a long time now. I've been doing this for nearly 25 years. The variety can stand in the way of progress for a lot of people, particularly when we're trying to create habits.
Sure.
You know, and you see it all the time when people start a new diet regimen. They go to the supermarket and they buy a huge array of things that they've never cooked before. And those things end up rotting in the fridge and they fall back on old habits.
Yep.
Whereas I think most of us who are successful in following a structure that works for us, because I believe we need structure, but we also need freedom within structure, we tend to often eat the same or similar things day in, day out.
Right.
And that shifts over time, but it's almost as if variety happens naturally rather than trying to force variety. So I really think variety is overplayed in nutrition.
Yeah, but variety for variety's sake, you know, not so much for me. It was just more a case of working towards ensuring that I was at least not going to be eating the same thing 2 nights in a row unless I'd cooked in bulk and I was sort of having round 2 the following night, that sort of thing. When I think back to when I started with low carb, I didn't actually go into it cold turkey as some might commit to doing, as you suggested. The way I did it instead was I realized in the beginning that I didn't even know what low carb really was. I needed the time to learn to understand what sorts of foods to be looking for, how to read food labels, where to find these things in the supermarket. I'd be literally going down aisles I'd never gone down before. And that's a process that takes a long time. So to give myself that time in those early stages, what I did was I knew enough to know that a lot of things that I had in the house were not going to be any good for me from here on out. But at the same time, I thought, right, let's just finish those off. I wasn't going to throw anything out. Let's finish those things off. I'll run out of things one by one, and that'll give me the time to sort of evolve and transition my diet away from these things. I'm not going to buy them anymore, just run them down, not buy any more, and that gives me the time to develop that variety. So the first few low-carb meals of mine were very, very similar. There was a lot of sausages and eggs. There was a lot of just steak on its own. There was a lot of vegetable soup with chunks of meat cut up in it instead of your bread type croutons, those sorts of things. Just those very few meals, but I wasn't eating low carb every day then anyway because I was still transitioning away from what I had left from the bad old days. So that was how I was able to overcome that challenge of variety for me, was just to ease myself into it, give myself time to learn, and at the same time say goodbye to each of these other things as I finish them off.
That's such a great approach, and that's something I often advocate for my clients, because there tends to be this mentality in nutrition that you start something and you do a big pantry clear out where you throw away a whole bunch of food. And I mean, I donate it, sure, but I think where people are throwing away food, I have a real issue with that, given that a big problem we have with eco-sustainability and, climate change and things like that is just wastage, right? Yeah. And so I like the idea of finish it and then replace it with something different that is going to be conducive to your goals. Because let's face it, it's not going to take that long.
No, it only took me about sort of 4 to 6 weeks, I suppose. And by the end, as you say, talking about donating away what you're not going to use, by the end, I think all I had left was an unopened jar of strawberry jam and a couple of cans of spaghetti, and I think I gave them away to the annual Christmas food bank drive or whatever was going that year, and that's fine. The other things that I had opened, but I couldn't bear to finish anymore, I think I had half a loaf of bread and half a tub of margarine, and they're sitting there, and I'm like, well, I can't do anything with those, and I just don't feel like I want to be eating those things anymore. So that was literally all what I threw out in the end. Because I'd managed it. I'd taken it slowly and carefully, just give myself the time to figure out what am I getting myself into here, and just to learn and figure things out in my own time at my own pace.